In 1987, for $130, you could buy this fantastic paperweight. This thing is humongous. For an example, there's my arm. You see, it is a big, big radio. So big that it even comes with its own seat belt that I have draped around the power cable. Cool, huh? And that is seatbelt material kind of webbing. As stated, this radio came out in 1987. This is a Magnavox D8300, and they also made another, well, I should say there was another manufacturer of this very same radio that I can't think of at the moment. I'll magically throw that up on the screen, and then we will know exactly what that was. This is actually a reincarnation of that radio, rebadge of that radio. Looks the same, does the same. They made two colors, two flavors of this. They made this radio right here, which is the more desirable of the two in the yellow and black scheme. This is actually referred to as the Bumblebee version. And then they made a straight black version. And in 1987, you can see here that they threw on some really cool graphics. Now, before we carry on to this, let me give you a little technical note on what's happening. Why does my video look and maybe sound just a wee bit different today? Today, I'm not in my office, not sitting at my workbench. I'm actually in the kitchen and working with just my one camera. I've got a light source just below the camera, which has given us hot spots here, and I have my microphone behind the radio, and so we might sound a little different, look a little different, but I'm doing this in the great hopes that a Bandscan on this radio will fare tons better than it does in my office. If this is productive until I could hopefully resolve the issue in my office, then this here will probably be how I end up doing Bandscans forthwith. So with that all said, and now you're clued in what's happening, I will try to learn how to speak. Rented lips, hold on. Alright, so this radio looks awesome, sounds awesome. That's about really where I will leave it. It's very heavy. The service manual, I found several places where there was fallacies and corrections, and that's that. I don't know if there's differences from maybe previous versions or whatever, and it just wasn't corrected. I don't know, don't care. Just take heed that if you do have the service manual, and I confirmed with the service manual for that other radio that I can't think of the name of, I want to say it's a Philips D8300 or something like that. Same manual, one and the same, just different name on it, and that's the only difference. Let's do a quick tour of this radio before I get into the issues and do our Bandscan. As stated, this is a very large radio, a lot of heft. This carrying strap is really the way how you want to lug this around. I put it on and it felt comfortable, you know, it's not bad. Some of you guys are old enough to remember back when these boom boxes were coming on the scene. And back then, of course, I didn't do that. I was still with my little transistor radio, but back then the guys would lug these around up on their shoulder, and muscled them around, and eventually the radios just got really large, really heavy, too many accessories, flashlights, whizzy bang flashy lights, and all kinds of stuff like that. Like I said, that was not my thing, but I always did appreciate these larger radios. And now if you're a collector, or you're just looking about, then you'll understand that these big boom boxes, actually ghetto blasters is what we called them back in the 70s and 80s, and then it morphed into a clinically named of a boom box. One thing you'll find out about me, I am not PC compliant, far from it. So if doesn't hurt your feelings, to move on. What was I saying before I got sidetracked? Anyway, long story short, you definitely build up a muscle with these radios. No soy boys at all. If you're a soy boy, well, this radio is not for you. You need to go pick up your iPhone. That's about all you can handle. And so we got these dual decks, A and B, and it's continuous or individual play. Has high-speed dubbing on it, and only tape deck records. We have tape counter. We got 3 magical mystery lights up there, one for power indicator, one for FM stereo, and one for dubbing. We have slider switches right here for our volume control, independent left and right volume control. Over here we have a 5-band equalizer, and then up here we have individual tuning indicators. We got one for AM and one for FM, and right now in this image, I know you can't see it because I'm not bumped in. When we do the band scan, I'll bump in and you can see it a little bit better. Up here, instead of having a log, you actually have meters. So your frequency is broken down into meters. When you go to the FM side, again, same thing, no real log. You probably got this little dotty thing down here for your log, a cheesy one at that. But for FM, what they have is actual channel numbers. Now, back in the day when FM radio started to come into existence, for those that are unfamiliar, they actually did assign channel numbers instead of using the frequency like we're so accustomed. They tried to do the channel numbering thing, and well, it didn't last very long, and that was soon kind of dropped. Down below here we have 3 big speakers. We have a woofer and our mid-range, and then we have piezo tweeters. The lighting here is not the greatest for me. I needed to keep it low so the camera could see properly. Right here, I was trying to find it. I knew it was here on the front somewhere. This is our microphone input. You just have one microphone for the radio, and it does work, or for the tape deck, I should say, not the radio. It does work. There is a noticeable noise floor with this unit. I've gone through and I've cleaned the unit up, demagnetized it, oiled everything that I could, and rubber anew and new belts, and it still didn't help any. Up top here we have a handle. We have our buttons for our tape control. We have a stereo head jack. We have a sliding switch here for our dubbing speed. We got normal and high. And then our master control switch, tape, dubbing, which is also our off. And then radio, which is our on. And then we have our stereo mono control up here, and then our AM FM, and then right here we have our rod antenna. And again, I do apologize for the light. Looking in the camera, that looks a little challenging. I know it looks a little cheesy. I do apologize. Right up here we do have a protruding thumb wheel, really nice big thumb wheel. I find this thumb wheel to be real easy to control the frequency spectrum, and you're able to dial in with no issues. And here we have our badge. On the back here we have our batteries, and then we have our mains input. This model is 120 volts. I would imagine they made European versions of this. I don't know, didn't research it that much. And then right here we have an auxiliary input. So you could theoretically plug in your Walkman, CD player, your iPhone, or some other electronic gizmo. Now with that, in order to trying to find the hole for the power, low lighting. Now, in order to get the auxiliary input to function, you need to come to deck B, put it in record, at which time it will now come through the speakers. And so you got to make sure that you're set into the tape position on your switch up top here. As stated, I dare say service this radio. That's kind of weak. And I also need to state, because I forgot to tell you this at the beginning of the video, this radio is not my radio. Somebody contacted me about working on it. I don't like working on other people's stuff, because if I break it, well, I gotta buy it, replace it, fix it. If it's mine, breaks, fine, whatever. Parts, or save it for another day down the road, with the collection of those that I've got going. Set forth some crazy demands in order for me to work on it. The individual agreed to all my crazy demands. Next time I need to increase my crazy demands. And, well, it showed up on my doorstep a week later. I've seen these radios and I thought, wow, these are kind of cool. And I was really jazzed to get a chance to play with it and check it out. I'll have to say this. There will be pictures either throughout this video or at the end of the video. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it. They're going to be reference pictures. They're not pretty pictures. They're just basically for my benefit, but I'll share them with you. Gosh, where to begin? Where to begin? This does have 3 belts, right? We have one belt here, one belt here, one belt here. However, we only have one motor that controls both of these units. The belt here comes off of here. Or somewhere down there. I really don't know. That was another problem. Trying to break free the boards from the case was a royal nightmare. I was never able to succeed in doing that. I did not want to destroy the radio. As stated, it's not mine, and I didn't necessarily want to buy another to fix my my butchering of the radio. And even if it was my radio, I probably wouldn't have went. Really, I think I've taken the radio as far as I would, regardless mine or somebody else's. Problem with one motor running 2 drives, this wheel was always spinning regardless where the keys were set. It was always spinning. This radio is very problematic with cheap gears, cheap plastic in general. The owner of it said that it ate tapes and the belts were needing to be changed, so no problem. Turns out that the gear on this one was broken. Missing a tooth, so I couldn't do anything with that. Went over here, serviced this one. Well, I serviced them both. New belt on that one. With the broken gear here, it was dragging this one down, had a lot of wow and flutter, so I removed the belt, this one cleaned up, and I went ahead and let it play for a couple of tapes. Not an issue. Come back the next day, run through it again, put in a tape to record. Everything worked fine. I recorded from the radio, just fantastic. Here we got a little noise floor. Then it started eating one of my tapes, and so after further inspection, I'd found that the very same gear this one had, well, that one broke as well. So right now the tape decks are inoperable. Can't show you that, unfortunately. So there's some issues there. Other issues I found with this, again, I couldn't remove the boards out of here to completely service the switches. Luckily they don't have static, but I wanted to clean them just the same. I was only able to clean just the top controls only. As stated, the service manual, incorrect in a few places. Take heed on that. Something else with this, with the tape decks, I don't know if you could see from your angle. Like most tape decks, we have a hole here to adjust our azimuth. This radio has holes. That's it. They do not access the azimuth screws, so that sucked. Couldn't adjust that. Would need to tear the boards out of the radio to do just that. Wiring harnesses, couldn't break them all free from the radio. Could not navigate, and I didn't want to butcher the radio, so I just went as far as I could and stopped. So I went over to do an alignment on this. AM radio on this absolutely sucks. Plain and simple. It sucks. FM radio, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I don't know if I've heard another better radio on FM performance-wise than this. I've got some that are really close. I got Sony's that are really close. But this thing is really awesome. Trying to tune up the AM radio. It said one part is here. Well, you think, oh, okay, well, that's the part there, and you go to turn it, and you find out, oh, that wasn't the part at all. Went to FM. It was the IF control for the FM. The part that they reference is not on the board in that location. It's actually further on up in a different location. So got that all straightened out. Going through the tune-up per the service manual, and again, on AM, sucks. What I found was, yes, you can actually get this thing to perform fantastic on the bottom of the band. And then soon thereafter, about you hit 1 meg, the rest of the radio goes mute to none at all. So you go back and readjust for this end. Well, then this end would fall off. And that sucks. So I ended up centering it for 1 meg for 1000. And once I did that, I was able to get both ends back. Unfortunately, there's absolutely no peak performance on this radio. This radio on AM absolutely sucks. If you've got one of these radios or its versions, different versions, and you've got a better story performance-wise, let me know your thoughts on it. This, like I said, this radio is, gosh, don't buy it for AM DX. I can guarantee that. Great for local stuff, but not for DX. I did monitor some DX. That I'm not gonna lie. I did get a couple, but it was challenging, and it was just that one. I went ahead and checked out FM. The S curve was pretty good, but because I did end up accidentally touching the IF core for FM, I went ahead and readjusted and ran through the calibration procedure on FM. I got just a little bit better reading off of the antenna trimmer, but nothing really substantial that you could say, oh wow, that station's 500 miles away on FM. Just not there. So just basically put it back together. Now, I also stated that cheap plastic, the gears are problematic. Good luck at finding. I actually did find somebody on the interwebs that says they'll sell you 2 gears for $30, 3D printed. I don't know. The plastic is fragile. This radio is very fragile. As you know, when you have 2 halves, you'll have some kind of lip. One will ride into the other's lip and as a guide and stability. Well, that little protruding lip is falling off. It's broken. And right now I just left it floating. I wasn't going to really try to glue it down and end up getting too much glue in the channel, and then the back half wouldn't fit into the front half because it was this yellow that is splitting on the inside. I'd also found one of the cabinet mount screws broken, so I went ahead and super glued that and let that set for about 3 days with pressure, and hopefully there's no issue. I put the screw on, it tightened down. Good luck. That's all I'm going to say. So with all that said and done, up front, would I recommend this radio? For AMDX, no. For tape performance, knowing that it has bad gears and it's as old as it is and parts really aren't available for it outside of a parts radio, no. For the cool factor, yes. Yeah, I would. The yellow one. Volume, wow, this thing is so super duper loud. Yes, I would. FM performance, yes, I would. So it's subjective. It's really up to you. So with that all said and done, let's go ahead and shut up, and let's go ahead and turn this thing on. We're going to start on AM. We're going to start down at the bottom of the band. We'll go to the top. We'll switch to FM, and then we'll come down to the bottom of FM. Now, as you know, FM is full of commercial music, so I'm not going to be able to sit on anything too long, just so you can see that it's there and it works, and move on to the next one. The bulk of this video is going to be essentially this portion of me yapping on. So here we go. Oh wait, stand by. I need to bump you in closer. Okay, there you go. Hopefully that looks good. I don't have no glare from my light, and you should be able now to look at all of the snazzy stuff there. Alright, continuing on. Trying to adjust the volume where it's even. And we're looking at this scale right here.
Pulmonary hypertension, PH for short, labors. PH puts unbearable stress on the heart, which can cause death from heart failure.
I do apologize for the volume being loud and low and loud and low. I have to set it for one or the other, and
To admit, we might have ED, but it affects more than half
trying to get the low end.
Men's Health offers a revolutionary treatment that uses acoustic wave energy to treat ED with no pills, no shots, no surgery. If you had ED or Peyronie's disease, call ARC Men's Health today. Call 650-407-1167. That's 650-407-1167. 650-407-1167.
Pro Painters knows how important your home is to you, and that's why they are focused on helping to contribute to your peace of mind. They're taking precautions recommended by public health officials to help keep you and the painting teams both safe. And they're doing free remote estimates for painting outside or inside at your home. It's quick, it's safe, it's easy. You can trust Pro Painters to get the job done right and safely. Each Pro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C, CertaPro.com.
Contractor license number 837312. Hello, I'm Joe Cordell of the domestic litigation firm Cordell & Cordell.
Thought maybe that was in,
We're all talking
sounded like
about
DX.
recovery, and we're all getting well.
I think it might have been
And
San Francisco
volunteering
area.
can be as simple as being kind to somebody. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times we can be closed off or we can be angry. But boy, if we flip that around and we're a positive person to someone else.
Some eviction notices are already in the works. Jim Taylor, KCBS.
Is taking gaming to the cloud. KCBS's Dan Mitchinson tells us the way we play games will be similar to how we stream Netflix.
That's because gamers will be able to play games from over the internet and then stream them on their phones or tablets for a price.
Train rides and all the rest of it that basically hadn't been read. So you're absolutely right. It's fascinating to travel with Mark Twain across the country.
And it's wonderful to have you as a guide because I can see how much material there is, and you have to make decisions all the time. Remember that little advice that Twain has? The reason a book's successful is because of what you leave.
To a TV veteran who told her, "We are a cancer and there is no cure. But if you could find a cure, it would change the world." You don't have things to say about yourself as well as your profession. We are a cancer and there is no cure. It's fatalistic, maybe appropriately so. Picari goes on to take up that metaphor. As it is, the cancer stokes national division, even in the middle of a civil crisis. The model blocks diversity of thought and content because the networks have incentive to amplify.
Camino a la salud. Cobertura médica sin costo para adultos de bajos ingresos inscritos en Medical de Emergencias. Puedo consultar con un médico familiar en un centro de salud cercano a mí.
1951.
Preguntan qué pasa con los permisos de trabajo, qué duración van a tener y qué pasa con los permisos de salida del país, Rafael.
Muy buena pregunta acerca de los permisos.
perverted by some of the grace teachings you hear. It's funny. Guys are on, major networks talking about stuff like this, and it's sad because you watch some people.
The Salvation Army is serving those most in need with help and hope. Thanks to your donations, the Salvation Army is helping those affected by COVID-19.
Over the absence of Nadal and Federer. And by the way, there hasn't been a Grand Slam event in the last 20 years without those two guys. So, but if your team...
Changes introduced have been to do with that law, Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. And certainly reforming that law.
Cabinet member or person as part of the administration that would say anything strange to the president would fire the guy or the woman. Fauci's case, he goes at odds with the president.
In the proper way. Well, let's go to Annette in Antoinette in Necedah, Wisconsin. You're on the air.
That's okay, Mr. Morrissey. A lot of people say it wrong. But, Mr. Morrissey, I want to know if you are aware and if other people are aware.
All right, so that's it for AM. As you saw, as you heard, it was terrible. And here's where the radio really shines. Again, we're on FM now, so not going to be able to sit too long.
They will destroy the value.
No need to talk, I know what you want and what you like.
¿Dónde está el problema? Poder que los dé exacto. Una persona la que nos dice dónde está el problema, sino directamente el cuerpo.
El cuerpo reacciona. Fíjense que existen... Que cuando te haga mía y como Frankie Luis diría.
Keep giving love until the day he pushes me away.
Let me hear that back.
Wake up and love. Just one click.
Oblivion is gone. Oh yeah, let's say life goes on. Always too long.
Escucha las mejores a sábado de
Now
crazy.
Online test prep for the GRE, GMAT, ACT, and SAT.
And that's it. As you can see, it killed it on FM. The way how I test performance on FM is I leave the aerial down, and this first time I lifted it, and it's loose. So I'm gonna have to tighten that down before I ship it back. Now I know you're probably gonna say, well, you had your big fat arm up there and probably acting like an antenna. I'll give you a little bit of that, sure, why not? But even when my big fat arm is not there, this radio performs fantastic on FM. However, I'm not in the demographic of FM anymore. I'm primarily AM radio or CDs, so I don't really have a need for FM. So for me, because of the multitude of issues that this radio has, I personally would not own it. I'd take it if it was given to me, but I wouldn't go out of my way to buy it. Anyway, that will conclude this video. Hope you enjoyed it. And again, if you got any personal stories on this radio or its variants, I'd be very fat and happy to hear your stories. See if you have the same experience, or if this one is just defected in the head. I don't know. Anyway, we'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching. As always, I do appreciate it. And also, I want to give a big fat shout out to all my subscribers that I've been getting here lately. It's just subscriber population has just been blooming, and I definitely do appreciate that. So, all right, with that, I wish you, I bid you an adieu, or whatever that is. It's tired. I got no oxygen in the brain. It's ready for me to unplug. See ya.